Hello, I'm Natasha Hussain, and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. Even before Israel's current war on Gaza, the conditions in the enclave were described as that of an open-air prison. The only way out was the Rafah crossing, but departures were subject to the approval of both the Egyptian and Israeli authorities. And the situation only got worse for Palestinians after October 7th. When the crossing was placed under a stricter Egyptian-Israeli blockade, evacuation is now officially permitted only for foreign passport holders, the seriously wounded, and some special cases. But there's another way, an informal and expensive one. Palestinians looking to evacuate can pay brokers to get them on approved travel lists. If they can pay exorbitant fees ranging anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000 per person. Hence why Palestinians are turning to crowdfunding sites like GoFundMe. Just a quick search through the platform will find hundreds of people asking for help to get their families and loved ones out of Gaza. A spokesperson for the site told Time magazine that more than 12,000 fundraisers were set up for those in Gaza after October 7th. Those campaigns for evacuation and humanitarian aid have so far collectively raised around $77 million. Yet, as Palestinians face restrictions in the real world, they're being met with similar limitations in the digital space too. When crowdfunding, they can only turn to the global audience for help only if they can manage to set up their campaigns in Europe, North America, or Australia. GoFundMe only operates in 19 countries, so Palestinians need to rely on friends and relatives living in these regions or activists and charities to set up fundraisers for them on their behalf. And even if those collecting donations on behalf of Palestinians manage to reach their goals, they need to comply with extensive rules to withdraw the money. Then there's the challenge of transferring those funds to Gaza, as few wire services still operate in the area. But even with those limitations, donations continue to pour in for GoFundMes for Gazans. As support comes in from all over the world, South Africa has been steadfast in its objection to Israel's war on Gaza. On the international stage, it's challenged Israel's military campaign at the world's top court. And at home, people across the country have held regular protests. The pictures you are seeing are from Bo Cup in Cape Town, famed for its colorful homes against the backdrop of Table Mountain. The Muslim residents of this neighborhood have been holding weekly mass iftars, or buka, as they call it, to raise awareness and funds for Palestinians suffering in Gaza. Crystal went to the neighborhood and saw how they are taking demonstrations to a new level.
Bo Cup in Cape Town, one of the oldest and most historical areas in South Africa. It is home to one of the largest Muslim populations in South Africa. Here, there's been weekly iftar dinners for the community from across Cape Town. Those that have, those that don't. Streets here have been opened up for the community and people have been able to have a meal. But the area is also known for its solidarity and the solidarity for Palestinians and for Gaza. The community here say they cannot be free until Palestine and Palestinians know freedom, and the carnage and the innocent and the killing of innocent people in Gaza ends. One way the community have been showing solidarity is by weekly protest marches, but they say protest marches can only go so far. Then a group of artists came together and they said, what can they do? They can paint murals here on the colorful houses to remind not only the community, not only South Africa, but the world of what is happening in Gaza. They say these murals is about global solidarity, about showing how this community shows its solidarity, and it's been done through paintings.
I just felt like I need to do something that is powerful, something that can stay, something that can protest even when people are not actively protesting. I looked at flags, and flags are beautiful, but they tatter in the wind and they wither. I looked at marches, and the marches are powerful, but the people can only march for so many hours. So that's where the idea came to make murals and put them in strategic positions so that anybody who comes to the pool cup, who takes a picture from every angle, will be supporting Palestine.
Across the area, you can see different paintings, from Free Gaza signs to the Palestinian flag, to showing different important facts of reminding people of what's happening in Gaza. The community here say they cannot enjoy their freedom if the Palestinians cannot be free and until the carnage ends in Gaza.
Switching gears now, the personal data of 73 million current and former AT&T customers has been leaked online. The breach includes sensitive information, including addresses and social security numbers, and has prompted the American telco to reset affected customers' passwords. The data, which appears to be from 2019 or earlier, has exposed a vast number of individuals with 7.6 million current customers and a staggering 65.4 million former account holders. While the breach includes personal details like full names, email addresses, and dates of birth, AT&T has confirmed that financial information has not been compromised. This breach is not an isolated incident for AT&T, which has faced multiple data leaks in the past. Just last year, 9 million wireless customers were notified of a breach involving a third-party marketing vendor accessing their information. AT&T, known for its extensive wireless 5G network covering approximately 290 million people across the U.S., is one of the country's largest mobile and internet service providers. It's just the tip of the iceberg, though, and part of a broader trend of increasing cyber attacks. As technology advances, so does the sophistication and frequency of these attacks, in a growing threat to data security. And as Lara explains, unethical practices known as dark patterns are partly to blame.
There are data leaks, and there are data leaks. But then there was this. In January, a massive database with 26 billion leaked records of millions, possibly billions of people was uncovered. This breach is believed to be the largest in history and has been called the mother of all breaches.
If you've ever used Venmo, Snapchat, MyFitnessPal, X, Facebook, Adobe, Wattpad, and many others, but also including Chinese social medias like Tencent and Weibo, your information has likely been taken and can be used for whatever the hacker wants. This breach is so big, it's believed it will cause what they describe as a tsunami of dangerous crimes, like your identity being stolen, financial fraud, medical fraud, blackmail, and the list goes on.
This is just one example of a growing trend in data leaks. Data breaches hit record highs in 2021 and 2022 and impacted more than 353 million people last year. These revelations have increased privacy concerns, with 68% of global consumers now feeling somewhat or very worried about their online privacy. But when it comes to protecting themselves effectively, consumers often struggle. And the finger is usually pointed at governments and big business.
Governments are responsible for providing guidelines to ensure fair data practices and keeping companies in check, while businesses are responsible for informing consumers about data collection and use.
You should have read the privacy policy.
But they often do so with long-winded legal jargon that only lawyers really understand. So, leaving the rest of us blindly ticking the accept box.
Why is terms and conditions only 3 pages? I don't know. And who cares? Nobody ever reads that. I do. You never know what you're agreeing to unless you read it. Bro, don't nobody got time for you to be reading 3 pages. I don't care. I'm about to read them.
All of us have the right to hold businesses and politicians accountable for what they do with our data. And we can take protective measures. These include using 2-step authentication, changing passwords frequently, denying apps tracking permission, and turning off location and Bluetooth connections. You can even fabricate personal data.
Check to see if you've been impacted by a data breach. Typically, service providers will contact you if they suspect your data has been impacted, but that can take weeks or months as the company does damage control. To take it into your own hands, change your passwords. Bottom line, if your passwords have been compromised, change them immediately. If you use the same password across other accounts, change them as well. Consider credit monitoring services. Sometimes cybercriminals want more than your Netflix password, but they'll use it as a gateway to get other sensitive information like your name, address, and banking details. So after a breach, check your financial accounts to make sure nothing looks off. And consider credit monitoring services to monitor your profile in the long term.
As technology advances, the frequency and severity of data breaches, hacks, and cyber attacks are likely to increase. To minimize the impact, individuals, but more importantly, businesses and governments must play their part in ensuring greater data protection. So, a safer digital environment can be a reality rather than a utopian dream.
This next story sounds like an April Fool's joke, but it's not. White House reporters have been warned not to steal items from Air Force One. An inventory check on the U.S. president's plane in February found several items missing from its press section. Political reports, it prompted the White House Correspondents Association to email journalists, warning that pilfering things from the plane is forbidden. The email says that such theft reflects poorly on the White House press pool and needs to stop. Being on Air Force One and bagging merch from the plane has become quite the flex among the ambitious and status-conscious DC. The U.S. president usually travels with a pool of 13 journalists in the back of his Boeing. Souvenirs such as M&Ms bearing the presidential seal are usually given to them, but that doesn't appear to be enough, seeing as pillowcases, gold-rimmed plates, glasses, cutlery, and towels with the Air Force One logo are allegedly among the items that have been taken. One journalist has reportedly returned an embroidered pillow pilfered from the plane, but no others have come clean. Germany has partially decriminalized the use of marijuana. As of April 1st, it's legal for people over the age of 18 to smoke cannabis. There were celebrations at Berlin's Brandenburg Gate as the clock struck 12 going into Monday. From here on out, people in Germany are allowed to carry 25 grams of dried marijuana for personal use. Home cultivation is also allowed, and adults can grow up to 3 plants. The government says decriminalizing pot will help snuff out the black market and improve quality control, seeing as millions of people in Germany were smoking weed anyway.
I think it's great. It's a moment we have been waiting for a long time. So it's a moment of freedom, a moment of celebration.
The cannabis policy of the last 10 years has failed. We've seen a doubling of consumption, especially among children and adolescents and among young adults. Youth protection is not working. The black market is getting bigger and bigger. The number of drug-related deaths has doubled in the last 10 years. It couldn't go on like this. I was against cannabis legislation for years myself, but the studies showed that we needed new laws to address the issue.
And just before we go, the Muslim holy month of Ramadan is drawing to a close. This year, the faithful around the world mostly dedicated their fast to the plight of the Palestinians in Gaza. And we've also seen non-Muslims embrace the dusk to dawn fast for their own reasons.
Friends invited me over for my first official iftar.
Bismillah. All right, let's eat, baby.
Non-Muslim TikTokers are taking part in this year's Ramadan, the Muslim holy month of fasting, and documenting their experience on the platform.
The next 2 weeks, I'm going to be taking part in Ramadan and I'm going to be showing you my journey. And it's something that I really want to challenge myself with to see if I can actually do it for a longer period of time.
Some say their objective is to practice self-discipline and even demonstrate a stance against consumerism.
I'm not a Muslim, but this year I will be celebrating Ramadan because I think that all Americans need a lesson in self-control and gratitude. We are all addicted to buying and spending so much that even when faced with the grotesque price of our consumerism, we continue to do it. And we certainly don't express gratitude for any of it.
While others say their aim is to show empathy for those in need.
The biggest and most important reason is that I want to stand in solidarity with my brothers and sisters in Gaza. When I think about my hunger, I think about my brothers and sisters' hunger.
I'm a non-Muslim who is participating in this year's Ramadan in support of my mum, who is a review, and also in solidarity with the people of Gaza and all the Muslims around the world who are suffering silent genocide.
And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.